Hello and welcome to Designer Discussions with Jason, Miriam, and Maria. Today we are talking about, has the home design market slowed down? Welcome to Designer Discussions podcast with
Miriam,
Maria,
and Jason. Tune in each week where we discuss marketing, PR, and business advice for design professionals. Now, before we have Maria talk, we wanted to say thank you to all of our listeners out there that have sent in emails and they've purchased products from our Designer Discussions marketing studio. And all of the emails we receive, we're very appreciative of all of that. And do remember, we do have a lot more products in the Designer Discussions marketing studio. And we also have the Academy that is here to help you through your marketing design journey. So with that, and we'll hand it over to Maria.
hey guys. So let's talk about the inbound calls and if they're slowing down and what budgets are going to be changing for the home design industry. And we're going to talk about kind of a heavy topic today. We're going to talk about why it's happening, and we're going to look into the climate and why it is changing. And my philosophy is you got to look backwards to kind of know what to expect in the future. And so we're going to talk about this from how things have been in the past, why things have changed in the way that they have, and what that's going to look like moving forward. So we're going to do a series of episodes about how the market is changing. And if you haven't listened to episode 111 with Jason, where he talks about the marketing experience has changed over the last 5 years, that is a great episode to start with. And then we're going to add some more to this because we want to get everybody up to date on what's going on. All right. So today I'm going to talk about what's going on in the home design market, why it is happening, what has this looked like when it's happened before, and how can you stay on top of these changes and now that you can be fully aware of what's been going on. So number one, to understand the home market, there is a term that we should all understand and understand why it exists and how it's impacting our industry. And it's called private equity. What is private equity? The simplest way to describe private equity, it's when a lot of investment money is used to buy private companies and hold them within a private portfolio. These groups don't plan to make their assets public. These are not going to ever become large companies. They're bought to make money. They're not run by the company to become larger and to have more people want to invest in it. And they just are looking to make a profit. Quality sometimes decreases. And definitely the experiences and service aspects of these businesses decline because they really aren't in them to grow them really big long term. They're just here to create a profit and make these businesses more profitable. So private equity has actually been a lot of what has been happening to the home market. These private groups with tons of money that are looking to find inflation shelters and ways to make money moving forward. They are flipping the homes, they're putting them back into the market at higher prices, right? And we talked about the quality tends to decline once things have come into the hands of private equity. So 44% of the homes were flipped in 2023 were flipped by investors. So 44% of the houses that went up on the market last year when interest rates were super low were bought initially, then turned into a profit for a specific group of people. And it wasn't the people who are going to be living there long term. So according to Forbes, Tampa, Charlotte, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, and Phoenix were, according to their portfolio, they are owning 1 to 10 homes, 1 out of every 10 homes in certain zip codes. The private equity ownership of homes in the US is 4.4% of the single family home market. So what is private equity going to do with all of these homes, right? These homes used to be hitting the market and a family would move into them and then plan to trade up. They would be people buying them and wanting to remodel them to make them beautiful because when the homes were hitting the market, they weren't in beautiful shape and these were considered investments for these families. Well, now these single family homes are going to be rental homes. And rentals don't have any design services and they are just done as cheaply as possible, quickly as possible, and then they're just being sent into the rental market. So, what does that rental market really look like for us right now? In 2022, there were 1.2 million homes as short term rentals in the United States. And today there are over 5 million. So this is a huge amount of houses that were owned by families that were having children in them and then hoping to buy bigger and have a new house very quickly after investing their money into the house, putting sweat equity into it, and then turning around and selling it and making a profit, which was allowing people to really look at and invest in their own personal homes and spend money and buy the furniture because they knew that the day that they moved out of the house, there was going to be a profit at the end of it. And every dime that they spent living in the house and loving the house, they were going to get back out. So now with this stuff happening, this is going to change how people perceive interior design for themselves. It used to be like a functional thing, something everyone would think about. Like the second they met an interior designer, they would say to you, "Oh my gosh, I'd love to have you over at my house so you could give me some help with this." Or, "Oh my gosh, I want you to come in and look at these things." And we were kind of seen as like friends with good advice, but people understood that we were a luxury service. And I think most recently we became less of a luxury service and something that people could just sort of tap into, no matter kind of what their income was, no matter how big their house was. And so we're going to start seeing changes move from everybody thinking that they deserve to have an interior designer do their house to a more exclusive group of people with a lot of expendable income that are going to be doing that. So when we talk about these short-term rentals, it isn't just private equity that owns them. Actually, most of the homes are owned by real estate investors, like individuals that own a couple of homes or they have a group of rental properties and that's their full-time job. But just for reference, 30% of the homes in the United States are owned as a rental property or a secondary house for a very small group of people. And then private equity owns of that 30%, only 4.4%. But the problem with private equity is that this is recent. This is a recent buy-in, and they're going to continue to keep buying up more homes. And that the government's looking at regulating it because it is going to be impacting first-time home buyers. So beyond owning the homes, these private equity firms have purchased the maintenance market within those same cities. What does that sound like? What does that look like? Why would a private equity firm buy the maintenance and service market in those areas? Since their properties are rentals and they're going to need the maintenance and the service, the plumbing, the electric, and the AC services in those same markets, they are buying those services, not limited only to those three categories of plumbing, electrical, and air conditioning, but they are buying anything that has to do with the house. If you are wanting to get a garage door repaired, they have like groups of people that have been buying up all of those businesses. Based on private equity business models, they come in private money and buy all of the businesses that are associated with that service, almost creating like a market monopoly in your area. And what they're doing is that they buy the local mom and pop shops, they automate the business, they set pricing across the board. So you may be used to having like 40 or 20 service providers in your area that are providing one service, and you could get multiple bids and they would be different. You would read their Google reviews, the service level would be different. But that currently is not the case in certain markets. They are actually all owned by the same company and they're all priced across the board. And these private equity groups are especially more present in the markets where they own a lot of houses. So all of the businesses, all these mom and pop shops, every air conditioning company that you could call, every plumbing company that you can call are now on a single pricing model. There's a single phone line when you call, and they also have purchased the entire Google presence for that service in that town. So when you go online, what does that look like? And you search for a plumber, you'll pull up Bob's Plumbing, and then you might even see an ad that says like Bob's Plumbing in Google. And then when you click on it to call, you're going to end up in some type of answering service. Answering service will then decide where you're located and ask you if you want to schedule an appointment. You'll notice that when they answer the phone, they don't necessarily identify the business at which you called. So if you saw Bob's Plumbing, they'll answer the phone and it won't be Bob's Plumbing. It'll be like plumbing services, right? So they've generalized and sort of generic down some things. And they're going to own all of these businesses. They're all going to maintain their names. They're all going to maintain the Google listings of those businesses. And they're going to not acknowledge that they are one company that owns everything. So, sort of this monopolized home services model. So, what happens to your client? Okay. So, we're going to look at this from how is private equity going to change the home design industry and how you can differentiate yourself as a better quality service and a better quality experience. So, what's going to happen to your client is that they're going to call in to get an appointment. They're going to say, this is the service charge. That person comes out, says what their service charge is, bills them. And then when you're asking for price, they'll give you a price when they're there in front of you, but they'll never quote anything over the phone. And then when you call for your second or third bid, it's all owned by the same company and they've already set price. So you're going to continue to get the same price for that plumbing service, that AC service, that electrician who needs to come out. And anything that's like home service based is going to be all one price because that's how they are presenting themselves within your market. If you ask for a business card at the end of the call, probably not even going to have it. They'll send you an email, but they're not going to have a business card on hand because you called Bob's Plumbing and they sent just anyone that was available within their service group. So it's going to start getting a little bit fishy, and it is something that we should all be fully aware of because this is how the home design market is going to be changing, and it's going to make things a little bit harder for interior designers. But if you're creating an experience, if you have the knowledgeable workers that you recommend, if you can niche down to kind of help your clients avoid some of these terrible experiences, your business will do much better than someone who doesn't have those types of contacts. Because I do truly believe having really good contacts with really good people is actually going to become one of the most valuable things that as an interior designer, you can have in your pocket, just based on where private equity is taking the home services and maintenance businesses. So, what is this meaning for your homeowner? Price of labor and maintenance just went up, right? Because they're price setting it. You don't get 3 bids. You can't come out and get a different price. So they have raised all of the prices to be the exact same throughout the market. Pricing of materials is still very high. I'm currently working on a project right now, and I'm surprised that they're still raising prices, which I don't understand because they aren't associated with the shipping situation that we dealt with in the past that did increase prices. So they've got high labor, they have high materials, and they also have high interest rates. So what was happening is that people were considering remodeling, redoing a kitchen, uh, furnishing the house, they had a lot of equity in their home. And they were like, wow, I have like $300,000 in equity in this house. I'll just spend it and I'll go ahead and get whatever I want to get done. And interest rates are so low, we'll just lump it all into a mortgage, right? So those mortgages that people were taking out in 2023 at 2.9% are up right now to 7.23%. And if you're wondering, because remember, we got to look back sometimes to understand where we're going forward. And this is when you need to tap into your friends that are possibly older or have already experienced a lot of this stuff. The last time we had an interest rate of 8% ish was in 2000. So it's been 24 years since we've seen this number. So if we're wondering, what is that going to look like? How's that going to impact the interior design industry? This is a great time to meet with and kind of mastermind with people in your area. And if you can find someone who is in your area and working as a designer in 2000, this is the time to ask them, what did that look like? And so here are some examples of what I've seen in the design market. Wealthy people are going to be wealthy. In fact, they're going to be operating at a very high wealth level in comparison to people who are working for a paycheck, because the paychecks are actually worth less now than the people who own that 30% of the real estate market that they're using as rental property. So those people are still going to maintain a lot of liquid cash. They're going to have the ability to do whatever they want to do. Because those people, that small group of people has a ton of cash, they are going to invest in things. They may even invest in pad sites and commercial real estate because that market is down right now. But without COVID, that market is usually pretty high. So you might find some of your clients are wanting to, buy a commercial real estate office and want to start fixing those up. And they're going to still put their money into a spec home here or there. So you will see the spec home market will still exist, but it is going to be at a slower rate and there's going to be more apprehension and people are going to act a little bit more conservative when it comes to the spec home market. So the location is going to be primo. Sizes of the properties are probably going to start to scale down. And I think this is going to be something that we're going to start noticing. So how can you start to perceive your business now that the climate is changing and you're going to still be able to market yourself and you're going to be on the forefront of what you're going to be seeing with the design industry? So shift a little bit on your focus from away from those brand new, big, huge, all white houses. Make sure you have some of your older projects where you were adding color and pattern and the spaces are smaller. Keep bringing those more to the front and talk about that as part of your business model, because the people that are in their homes that got that less than 3% interest rate, they're going to sit on that house and they're going to be there 10, 15 years. And with that, knowing that that's where they are, and they are going to feel a little trapped, like they don't get to have that bigger, more beautiful dream home in 10 years that they saw everyone else do. You're going to want to be the person who's out there talking about making a shift from something that's sort of big and plain, possibly they got one of those flip homes, and turn it into a really loved home, and how you can integrate color and pattern and art and all of the rich decadence that interior design can bring to someone's space. And those types of projects are probably going to be like one room projects, not whole entire house builds and then furnishings, but you're probably going to start doing room by room by room, which is a lot of what interior design looked like in 2000. So if you can look at featuring more remodels, less new builds, if you have like shop drawings of additions that you're putting on people's houses, shop drawings of how you reconfigure an old bathroom to have a completely new life. this is where those things are going to be working for you. And if you can start implementing and showing that aspect of your business a little bit here and there, people are going to feel like, oh, wow, I don't have to build a big brand new house to love my home. I have a resource. I have a really great designer, a really good kitchen and bath and remodeling studio that can come out and transform what I already have. I don't have to leave where I am right now to have that dream home, to have that beautiful house and experience that wows people when you come in the door. So, another thing that we want to talk about that's super duper important is this is Jason's thing. This is the time to actually market your business. First, Miriam, can you talk a little bit about the business model for the large corporation you worked for when the economy slows down?
Of course, yes. It's actually one of my sort of favorite experiences from my corporate life. And this goes back all the way to like the hard economic times around 2008. And what happened is, so I worked for Kohler Company at the time. And if anybody has ever been to KBIS, you know that the Kohler Company always has the biggest, most flashy, extravagant booth of all. It's still like that to this day. We just saw it this year. But anyway, so Kohler spends a lot of money on branding and on communication and marketing in general. And Mr. Kohler, who was Herbert Kohler, the late chairman who just passed a couple of years ago, he was adamant about maintaining brand awareness and marketing spend during the downturn. And like if you look back in the industry, Kohler was really, I'm not saying that they didn't cut back at all, but they cut back significantly less than the competing brands in the industry. And what that allows you to do is to take market share during the downturn. So when things inevitably are going to turn back up because the economy is cyclical, and after every downturn comes the upswing. So what that allows you to do is take market share from your competition, and you're going to be positioned extremely well when business is coming back. And we talk about this a lot for smaller businesses too. The same principle applies, right, Jason?
Yes, and I'll just add on to that. Like if you're running ads, whether it be on Google ads, Facebook ads, TikTok ads, whatever, as more people or more businesses turn away from that, oftentimes you're able to get more out of it because the ad spend or the cost per click goes down because there's less people using it. It's just the simple supply and demand. So there's just not as many businesses out there running ads. So if you're one of the ones that are running ads at that time, oftentimes you'll pay less than when you would when the economy is great. So putting the same amount of money in that you would in a downturn as you would any other time would help you. And then like Miriam talked about it help you with the market share in your local market. So that's what we see. A lot of small businesses tend to do the opposite of what I just talked about. But if you are able to sustain that, you'll see gains when the market turns around.
That's awesome. So I want to go back to episode 111, how marketing has changed over the course of the last 5 years. Listen to that episode. Jason gives you the skinny on what's been happening within the last couple of years. And then we're going to continue to create more episodes on this topic. We're going to look back and give you kind of a climate change of what to expect for your design business.
This was a good episode that Maria talked about where we are in the design world right now. And if you have any questions on this, feel free to let us know. And we look forward to hearing and seeing you in 2 weeks on Design Discussions.
Your business is unique and your marketing should be too. Discover how to personalize your approach for SEO, PR, and beyond to attract more of the clients you love to work with. In our Academy membership, with us Designer Discussions podcast hosts as your personal coaches, we show you how to customize your marketing. With weekly live sessions, an exclusive community, practical resources, and expert guidance, we're here to simplify your marketing and boost your business. Sign up at designerdiscussions.com or follow the link in the show notes.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Designer Discussions and all of the helpful information. Subscribe to our podcast, leave us a review, and share it with your friends. We look forward to having you back next week. For more information on the podcast and the marketing studio, visit designerdiscussions.com and follow us on social media.